G'day everyone. So picture this, you're finally retired, you're living the dream, you're 3 months into that amazing 6-month trip through Europe that you've been planning for years, and strangely, you're starting to miss that boring old routine back home. Just sounds unimaginable, doesn't it? If someone had told me back then that I'd suffer from travel fatigue, I probably would have laughed in their face. But I'm here to tell you, travel fatigue is real and it can happen to everyone, and your dreams can quickly turn into a nightmare. Retirement travel is something that most of us have spent more than half of our lives working towards. The chance to have the flexibility, the freedom, the ability to go when you want and explore the world on your own terms. But what we don't often hear about is the reality that after that initial excitement of actually starting that wears off, travel fatigue can become a very real thing. Things like overpacking regrets, the stress of trying to make a new place feel like home, having to work out what you're going to do every day because you still feel like you're on vacation and you feel like a day doing nothing is a wasted day. If you're not expecting these things, if you haven't planned for them, they really can make this time far more difficult than it needs to be. So today I'm sharing with you the strategies that I picked up from our first two extended trips overseas, things that could have made them both way better if we'd have only known before we left. I could never have imagined that I would want to come home, but a couple of months into an extended trip into Mexico, I actually thought that I'd like to go back home. I felt like I was under so much stress to find new things for us to be doing every day. On the other side of the coin, it just felt like we'd settled in and it was just like being at home. That adventure of travel had gone. I understand that for some people that's going to make you feel very comfortable. You may be looking for a home away from home. But for people that love the excitement of travel in that you're discovering something new all the time, settling into that routine while you're on holidays, while you're vacationing, can be a really strange sensation. And if you're not expecting it, like we weren't, then it can really be hard to overcome. G'day, I'm Dean, a recently retired veteran of the travel industry. This is my wife, Pauline, unfortunately still stuck in the rat race. Together we visited over 30 countries in 30 plus years in what we refer to as our retirement trial run, bringing you insider tips, budget hacks and unique destinations to help you find your ideal travel lifestyle. When I talk about travel fatigue, it's not so much about doing so much that you're physically exhausted. It's a combination of mental overload, emotional exhaustion, and what I call logistical burnout. And even the most seasoned travelers can feel it every now and then. The thing is, it's not just about being worn out from walking all day. It's your brain constantly switching on, trying to process new information, new environments, new everything, thinking that you have the total responsibility for making sure that your travel companion or companions are constantly entertained. It's a big job and it really can hit you hard if you don't build in some rest time. Let me break down the common causes that might sneak up on you. As I like to call them, the 5 sneaky culprits. First up, constant transitions, constant moving around, constant change, seemingly non-stop challenge of coping with new beds, navigating new cities, having to learn new routines, meals taken at different times of day. Eventually, these routines are going to have some impact on you and your travel enjoyment. Your brain's working overtime just to figure out how to switch a light on, let alone how to find a decent coffee. The second one is decision fatigue. This comes from the anxiety built up from constant daily planning. Things like, where do we eat today? What do we do? What's open? What's closed? Are we missing out on the best thing? Are we wasting our time doing something? How to cope with forced changes to plans. Even choosing what to have for breakfast can be overwhelming and push you over the edge. The third one is language and cultural barriers. I'm one of those travellers that love to learn at least enough of a language to be polite, to say please, thank you, hello, goodbye, and so on. Spain in particular, another thing we really struggled with was eating at the times of the day that are the norm. Having dinner where restaurants don't open till 8 or 9 p.m. when we're usually well and truly fed and cleaned up by that time of night. The fourth one is disrupted sleep schedules. When we travel, we're usually more morning people. But in Spain in particular, again, because of those late dining hours, we were staying up late, which pushes our whole schedule out. By the time you've got home after a meal, you're still quite amped up. you'll end up staying up till after midnight most nights. And that, teamed up with having to get used to a time zone that's the exact opposite of what you're used to back home, can really have an impact on your mental health, can raise your stress levels, and serious travel fatigue can set in from that. And the fifth and final one is missing familiar comforts or people from back home. You may think, and it is, that travel is exciting, it's a wonderful adventure. But when you're away from the usual routine that you have back home, the people that you regularly mix with when you're back home, it can be a big change, and it can be a very hard thing to process sometimes. Being bombarded with new experiences week after week may be exciting for a little while, but I can tell you firsthand that eventually you will be wishing for a little bit of boring routine. Our example of this is, once again, about 2 weeks before the end of our 3 months in Spain and Portugal, we'd seen so many incredible small villages, castles, wonderful scenery, but it got to the stage in those last couple of weeks where what should have been incredible places to see just started to blur into, it's, well, there's another castle, there's another cathedral. And when travel gets to that stage, it's disappointing because you're not getting the full experience. And as much as we wanted to remain excited, and we should have stayed excited, it really did get to the point where we were just going, how many more castles are we going to see before we get back home? It's something that you won't expect, but it's something that you should plan for. So here's my first tip on how to prevent, or at least delay, travel fatigue when you're long-term traveling. Adopt a slower pace. Stay in one place for 2 to 4 weeks instead of moving on every couple of days. It gives you a chance to develop what I call mini routines. This will let you feel a bit more at home, a bit more relaxed. Don't try to get something new and exciting happening every day. Consider going to the same coffee shop every day or every second day. Go for a walk at the same time every morning. These little things, these mini routines, can really make a big difference to reducing the stress, reducing the chances of your travel fatigue. And the way that it helps is by taking your brain out of tourist mode. Tourists think that they have to constantly be on the move and find something new, whereas slow travelers can think differently. And these little mini routines can help with that. During our 6 months traveling through Mexico, we had a little over a month in Merida, and that gave us the opportunity to put these mini routines into practice. Every morning before breakfast, we'd head off for a little walk. We had a few cafes that we liked, but we also had a bakery that we liked. So at least once or twice a week, we'd go to the bakery, we'd get our pastries, and we'd come back and we'd just have a breakfast back in our apartment. There was no stress. It took away that need for, where are we going to eat? Do we have to find somewhere new, or are we going to like it? Next up, and this is a big one, plan recovery days. If you're traveling for long term, you don't need to pack an entire tourist day into every single day. Schedule what I call nothing days, where you just relax, do laundry, go to a local cafe or a park and sit around, just live in the moment. It's sad how many times you can come back from a trip and you jam so much into it and you never really took the time to appreciate where you were. Have you been somewhere that you wanted to go for so long? You got there, it was exciting, it was everything you'd hoped it to be, but you spent so much time just taking photos and darting from one part of it to the next that you never actually allowed yourself time to sit there. And I get it. The last thing that you want to do is feel like you've wasted a day. You spent all this time and energy and money to get somewhere, and now I'm telling you to just do nothing. It sounds a little counterintuitive, but for your long-term travel health, mental health, to avoid travel fatigue, those days are going to be the most crucial days of your entire trip. My rule of thumb, schedule at least one nothing day every week that you're away. The other thing that really helps is sticking to a loose routine. As an example of that, my morning walks in Merida. I didn't follow the same route every day. I was looking for new places and walking new streets, but I spent the same hour or hour and a half every morning before breakfast just getting out and taking that walk. That little bit of a routine helped me enormously. Now, if you can do something like that, or spend 30 minutes a day journaling about your trip, or have a meal at the same time every day, location can be different, but have a set time where you do some of these things. It doesn't have to be every day, but that sort of consistency or small routine can really help you with your decision fatigue. And decision fatigue can be one of the most impactful ways that you're going to struggle with long-term travel. Now, this isn't about being rigid in your travel. It's just giving your brain something familiar to hang on to, a little consistency in each day or every couple of days. Right, let's talk about packing. Many travelers, many retirees, many first-time long-term travelers in particular, have fallen into the trap of overpacking, especially when their trip includes varied climates, unknown events, or they seem to feel that they have to cater towards the just in case moments. They think the more they carry, the more they're prepared. We've fallen into the trap ourselves, but we've learned from our mistakes. Because here's the question: how many times have you returned from a trip and noticed that you never actually wore maybe half of the things that you packed? But once you have more experience with long-term traveling, you'll quickly start to see that you didn't need to pack nearly as much. For years, we felt the need to pack outfits that we rarely ever wore at home. For some reason, we thought that we may need it because something may come up that we're not expecting, or we're going to a different place, so we may have to wear different things than what we wear at home. The reality is that we rarely ever wore them. Here's the secret: the mindset shift you have to make to reduce your packing and to stop taking far too many clothes. You don't need to pack outfits. What you want is lightweight clothing that are dual purpose. Think mix and match, not complete outfits. Think layers, not specific cold weather gear. Think comfort and practicality, not fashion statements. You're trying to travel comfortably for weeks or maybe months at a time. For medical and personal essentials, bring your medications, copies of prescriptions, comfort items like a heat pack or a sleep mask if you need it. But here's the thing: there's no need to overpack toiletries and bath items. Toothpaste, shampoo, deodorants, you can always buy them easily and usually cheaply on arrival. Don't waste precious luggage space on stuff that you can buy anywhere. Tech and tools are where you probably don't want to compromise. Pack a power board, travel adapter, or make sure to take all your devices that you need, your computers, your cameras, your phones. Just make sure you have the charging cables for every device. There's nothing worse than having a dead phone in a foreign country and having tried to negotiate the language barrier to get into a store to find the right one. Now, there's one more thing that you could consider. Let's call them the mini home comforts. If you have things you just can't live without, like favourite tea bags or coffee that you're not sure that you can buy overseas. If you've got a compact pillow or a light blanket that you just feel comfortable with, include them in your packing list. But think hard about whether they really justify the space they take up. Here are 3 things that could make a huge difference to your packing. The first one, a set of compression packing cubes, can make a massive difference, can even allow you to fit a large suitcase worth of gear into a medium suitcase. Sure, the weight's going to be the same, but you've still got the convenience of that smaller piece of luggage. Second, consider putting together a compact laundry kit. Consider taking things like a small amount of washing detergent, a few pegs, and maybe a stretchy clothesline. We've often found it difficult to buy small amounts of washing detergent, so bringing your own saves hassles. Once you're in a place for a week or more, it's worth doing a few simple things that can turn your rental or hotel room into a space that feels more comfortable for you, not just functional. Here are some tips to help ease the decision fatigue, reduce money pressures, and make you feel more at home. We've already discussed this one, but let's go over it quickly again. If you can visit the same cafe, bakery, or market each day or every second day, you'll start to feel far more comfortable in an area. It helps create a familiar rhythm. If you're like us and you prefer your long stays to be in an apartment rather than in a hotel, then a great way to ease some of that stress is to start cooking some meals yourself. It don't have to be anything fancy and it doesn't have to be every night. Maybe it's even just breakfast every second day that you've been down to the local grocery store and picked up a few essentials. You come back, you cook yourself some bacon and eggs. I said earlier that I'm the type of person that when I travel, I like to at least learn enough local phrases that I can be polite when I'm talking with people. It's an important thing that I recommend to everybody. Nowadays, there are so many apps that are easily accessible for you. Just learning enough to be polite goes a long way and will help you to feel at home. Understanding when someone's saying hello to you and being able to respond. Being able to say please, to say thank you when someone's given you something. Being able to ask if the local does speak English. It's not only polite, it's respectful. And respect in travel is something that we all should practice. Instead of taking a taxi everywhere, why not walk? See some more of the local area. Why not use public transport? We've had some fantastic adventures learning how to use the public transport. Sure, a couple of times we've ended up in the wrong place, but there's always a bus or a train that gets you back to where you're meant to be. It gives you a feel for the area. It makes you feel more like a local. We love to take a free walking tour the first full day that we're in somewhere new. It's a great way to get an overall feel of where things are in your local area. The other thing that we love about the free walking tour is that we learn more about the history and we pick up some local tips, maybe some local restaurant, cafe recommendations from the guide. At least using a local guide to get their recommendations, you're going to find out where the locals eat, and it's usually way better than the guidebook places. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to fight off homesickness is to keep in touch with family and friends while you're traveling. And today's technology make that easier than ever. It's amazing how a regular video call with those friends and family members can give you the feeling that you're still there. Even if technology scares you, it's an easy process to learn and the tools are easy to use. Nothing more than your smartphone or tablets required. Keep in mind that my mother is almost 80 and we've been able to teach her how to use video calls. So if you think it'd be too hard for you, then think again. If she can do it, I'm 100% certain that you'll be able to do it as well. Now, some of these suggestions may seem a bit strange, but it's amazing how small touches can keep homesickness away as well. Bring a small framed photo or your favourite candle, a keepsake, or just something that you can personalise your space. Even if you're jumping hotels every couple of days, to have a nice family photo beside your bed every night can give you that little bit of home that can make a big difference. Make sure you know all your streaming service logins. So if you're in a hotel or an apartment where you can get access to Netflix, for example, you can put in your details from home and still have access to all the shows that you've been watching or you would like to watch. Keep a grab bag or go bag, if you like, for when you need to run some errands. Have a reusable little carry bag, have your water bottle, a notebook, a pen, have a small travel umbrella. Being ready with those items can save a lot of running around and a lot of unnecessary stress trying to find them in local stores. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people tend to forget this, but long-term retirement travel isn't about having a holiday. It's about having a different lifestyle. The more thoughtfully you plan the practical side of the journeys, the more energy and eagerness you'll have to enjoy the moments that truly matter. When you get the practical stuff sorted, the packing, the routines, the comfort strategies, you free up mental space for the magic. You can actually enjoy that sunset instead of worrying about where you're going to eat dinner after it. You can appreciate the architecture instead of worrying about having to drag your heavy bags down the stairs the following morning. I think the moment that I realised how important this shift in thinking was would have been when we were in Oaxaca in Mexico. We'd originally booked in for 4 days. We were really starting to feel worn down, tired, mentally exhausted. And we just came to the decision that it was time for us to stop and smell the roses, if you like. So we extended our stay there from 4 to 14 days. And we had a down day. We'd been to Oaxaca before. We knew where some of the things were. We spent some time just relaxing in the Zocalo. We spent a day watching Netflix, just something that we would previously have thought was just a waste of time. But it was something that we realized if we're going to do this thing as long-term travelers, then we need to do more of the things that we're used to doing at home. We need to have that relaxed time, the downtime. We need to have those little routines. We don't need to be on the go constantly. So whether you're traveling full time or planning longer trips between stays at home, by implementing some or all of these strategies, you'll stay balanced, light, and ready to make the most of every travel opportunity. We feel certain that if we'd followed these ideas in our earlier trips, we would have enjoyed our 3 months in Europe, our 6 months in Mexico, instead of suffering from travel fatigue for those final couple of weeks on both of those trips. I'm sharing these strategies not because I'm some perfect traveller, but because I've made the mistakes and now I'm showing you how to avoid them. If I'd known then what I know now, our extended trips could have ended considerably better. So there you have it, the survival guide for long-term travel after 50 or during retirement that I wish someone had given me before my first extended trip. The key takeaway: plan thoughtfully, pack light, slow down, and create familiar rhythms wherever you go. So what's the biggest travel challenge you've had with long-term travel since you turned 50? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your stories and maybe help solve some problems together. We're all in this together after all, learning as we go. If this helped out, please give a thumbs up, subscribe for more real-world travel advice for our generation. I'm here to share practical strategies that we've found really make a difference.